little while you're on, you think?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit late. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge of the flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Piner is running just a few minutes late. I hope it's only a few, but we'll see. Okay, welcome everyone to the December 19th meeting. Minutes of December 5th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report and payment of the bills.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I had that answered earlier.
You had asked about the rebate from the insurance company.
Yeah, actually, I was asking about the rebate. We received back $133,000
For the medical loss ratio rebate.
for the rebate, which was very, very nice. I see it was noted on the financial report. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Lou, you're on.
Okay, the first item on the agenda that I have is the community center. I handed out an outline there. Our review team has concluded its review, and we recommend the Wickersham Construction Engineering Incorporated of Lancaster to build this project. And we've met with them on Monday at 10 o'clock and discussed it in depth, and we're convinced that they have the capabilities and incentive to build this project for the budgeted amount or less. The project, formally say, is the neighborhood community center. Its intent is to provide a benefit to people who live on income, people who live in the census tract where this is located. The location is off 121 Stockton Street, adjacent to the George Washington Carver Education Leadership Center, Cecil County Board of Education at 201 Booth Street. It's only a 2.38 acre site off of access off Stockton Street. Our budget was $3.5 million. Funding was $500,000 from the general fund, $2,200,000 loan from the general fund from the sewer fund, and a $800,000 grant through the Community Development Block Grant Program. The completion date is set for August 14th, 2020, and that's set by because of the federal funding under the CDBG program. That is the requirement for us to complete this project. The contractor, as I said, is Wickersham Construction Engineering out of Lancaster. The architect is Marshall Craft Associates, and I think our people are familiar with them because they do a lot of work at Union Hospital, so we're familiar with them. Civil engineering, landscape design, geotechnical services by McCrone, David Strauss actually, our local McCrone office here. Technical proposal was submitted by Wickersham on the 27th in response to our RFP, and it met all the conditions and terms of our RFP. Total building is going to be 18,724 square feet. Their cost proposal was $3,450,000. Comments. The Neighborhood Community Center review team met with Wickersham and its leadership team on Monday the 17th, and we discussed some concepts with Marshall Craft in particular about some things we want to change. One would be the restrooms. We're not going to have any doors on the restrooms. It's going to be, the entrance is going to be opposite the reception area, and I'll show you in a minute where that is. And it's sort of like a restroom in the Convention Center, Ocean City. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. Walk in, men right, women left, and that's how it does. A lot of airports are the same way. They don't have doors. That's how we're going to do this. In addition, the custodial space will be included in the restrooms. We're going to have a folding partition in activity room number 1 in lieu of a retractable partition that's specified for both those rooms. One retractable will stay in one of the rooms, but the other one will be a folding one. And the difference is the folding one will have sound buffering. So in a dance class, you have 2 different dance classes, and they're not going to drown out each other. Possible requirement to add a fire pump because of sprinkler design, we're not sure yet, but we're pretty sure a fire pump will be required. We're going to eliminate any carpeting in the public spaces and offices due to maintenance issues. Mary was very adamant about that because the number of people we serve there, often children, and the children are somewhat messy and sometimes leave a lot of spots on the carpet, and it's hard to clean, so we're not going to have any carpet whatsoever. We're going to eliminate the name Elkton from the signage, and it's going to say Neighborhood Community Center because the Department of Housing and Community Development insists that it's because it's in the census tract, it's a community development center and not an area-wide center because we're not area-wide, low mud income qualified. The gym will be a forecourt and 2 half courts. It's going to be marked for high school basketball dimensions. And what else do we have here? It's going to be a pre-engineered steel building with coordination between the steel building manufacturer, engineering company, and it's going to be a new I think it's Nucor out of Lancaster that actually builds the building, and they'll coordinate with Marshall Craft to fulfill the design. They want to have the building up by January 2020 in order for the subs to do the work inside where weather's really bad. They may beat that goal and get it into maybe late November or December possibly, but January is the goal, to have the building under roof and then have the subs do the work so it can be completed by early in the summer of the following year. Due to the requirements of the CDBG, we have to expend 5% of the grant, or $40,000 by February 10th. Consequently, we're asking the board to support our recommendation to let Wickersham begin this project in order for us to them to bill us that much money, and it probably will generate that kind of money from the design team with Marshall Craft as our architect. Very expensive people to work with. The preliminary concept elevations and layout up there were submitted with the initial proposal. However, they may be somewhat changed. I want to point out that this would be the gym, obviously, and of course that's back there. That's the gym. Of course, the height of that part of the building will be much higher than the rest. And these areas with the activity room there, activity rooms here, and then this is the entrance. That entrance right there is right there. Office spaces, that's the reception area with the restrooms right there. This is the building systems room, which can be modified. They think that's too big, so they may make it smaller. This is for storage. In particular, we storage athletic equipment that will be used inside the gym, so they need a way to place to store that for different activities. Over here we have a warming kitchen. That way we can have a caterer, bring food in, and then we'll have a window right there, and they can serve food through the window. Got that idea from Harry Grace and from Harford County. They had that similar setup, and it's very successful for them. So when they have an activity in there, they can have people like seniors breakfast or something. That's the example I'm thinking about. And then they can serve them through as a caterer or any other activity for that matter. That's the lunchroom. These are all offices here. And this is the room where the sprinkler or fire pump will go. Not the sprinkler, but the fire pump will go there. This is additional storage for office supplies. And this layout of the building is all metal. We don't have a color yet. The board will probably want to tell me what the colors are. Going to give me a palette from
Lou, can you show me the entrance on this, where the entrance
here?
Yeah, okay.
That's the entrance. These are the offices.
Okay.
This is the entrance. This is the reception area right there. So when people come in, they'll have the reception right there. And what, following your suggestion, we'll probably have a lockout right there so we can secure the building if we want to. There's probably not that many other doors in there.
Is there an entrance?
There's doors in the back because of egress and ingress.
Is there an entrance right where the kitchen, where the food area is?
If there's going to be an entrance right there, let's say you come in, the caterer will come in there.
Outside.
From the outside.
You mean an exterior one? We
We
discussed that. We can have an exterior door if we want
They
it.
deliver food, they don't want to take it all the way through there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We
Good
already
idea.
discussed that, and that could be included in the design. And that wouldn't be a big cost to us to do that. But that way you can have a caterer come in from the outside, rather than come through the building itself. The orientation is this will face the Board of Ed building right here. And of course, this side will face Stockton Street. So when you'll come in off Stockton Street, there'll be a parking lot over here. I don't have the site plan here because I don't have a big drawing for the site plan. So there'll be parking over here, and then of course parking right here. So there'll be sufficient parking. The engineer will work on bioswales and I don't know how many stormwater ponds or whether they're going to have stormwater ponds or infiltration type of stormwater management system yet. McCrone's going to work on that, and we should have plenty of space there to deal with it because you got almost 2.5 acres of land, and this building's going to take up 18,427 square feet. So that's it's less than a half an acre with the parking lot and everything there, or we'll probably need a little bit more. So pretty much we've got everything covered. All I need is the board's approval to get Wickersham on board and get this thing moving.
Is that what the building's gonna look like? Is that it?
Theoretically, yes. That's
Right.
only a proposal. When they finish the design, they'll come up with a new shape, but it'll be rectangular. The building's rectangular. It looks different.
Long.
I called them up and it looks funny.
It does.
This section will be lower and that'll be higher, obviously, because that's the gym. But the reason this looks that way is because the software program they use to create this image basically has a type of system that's built in that kind of like creates that image. And he said it's not going to look, the actual drawings themselves will be rectangular like the layout there.
It's proposed to also to be white.
No, this is they just stuck a neutral color in there. We can make it any color we want.
Will they give us design ideas before they move forward?
They'll give us a palette for colors and everything.
So you said this company has done work for the hospital?
Marshall Craft has.
So-
They're the architect for this project,
Have they-
not the builder.
Would they be reaching out to subcontractors in the area to help?
Not the architects.
None of them, the builders.
The Wickersham, you said we used them before with our
Well,
wells?
yeah, well number 2R and 5, they built it.
I'm just asking subcontractors.
They have to use local subs. And they have to advertise for low income too, for laborers and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
if they hire, I believe that Wickersham said that they would reach out to Associated Builders and Contractors Incorporated for local contractors.
They'll probably find plenty of local contractors to work on this project. They're already using Chrome for the landscaping, geotechnical work and land planning and stormwater management, which is a local firm. So, we've come a long way.
Lou, can you tell us who was on your team?
Oh, I have a whole list there. Our whole team involved, well, kind of memorized everybody who works for us. Mary McGaw, Chip Bromwell, Steve, Gene, and I, and Dan.
And
Everybody. Of course, Mark had input in because we had to run flow tests on the hydrants. We had to get depths for the inverts for the manhole on Stockton Street, just tie it in. And we used KCI to do the site survey work and to put in benchmarks. They use benchmarks to do the work on the height of that building. So the benchmarks were done by KCI, the survey was done by KCI, and our team did the review of the proposals.
And of course, I know that we're relying a lot on Mary McGaw with some of our Parks and Rec and our community efforts. Was she pretty well, was she satisfied with the interior layout of what you have up here?
That's where it came from.
Perfect.
Because when we sent the RFP out, we sent a layout out as what we wanted. The only thing they're going to do is change, they may change things around, if I'm not an architect, to accommodate the building systems that may not need that much space. And there will be some features that one thing I didn't mention, down here where the office, where this lunchroom is and these offices, I think that's probably the location, I'm not sure, Gene, where we're going to put what's called a family or an ADA compliant room for a restroom because you have to allow a special room for a handicapped person and an aide. Not just a handicapped person in a wheelchair, but they could have an aide. And there has to be space in there for that person to go in and use the restroom in the company of an aide. That'll be part of the addition to this, that interior design. And that restroom will also be used by staff, so it'll be separate from the other restrooms that are in that this location right here. That's where the restrooms are now for the general public. Those restrooms will also have ADA compliant
Yeah, I was gonna say that will
stalls
work.
also. You have to build ADA and everything now.
Right.
And all
How would that
the
work?
front of the building will have ramps and everything to meet ADA compliance, and the widths of the doors, and just like this building, are ADA compliant here.
So why would the general bathrooms not work for handicap with an aid?
Probably, I think the stalls that are gonna be done here are designed for a wheelchair, because they have grasp and everything like that. And I don't know, but the architect brought up the fact that it may have to be bigger when you have a person that's handicapped and requires an aid. The space may be larger. And I think when Marion and I discussed it, she would prefer to have a staff bathroom also, so we can combine those elements together and fit it right into that one spot right there and have plenty of room. Because we got plenty of room in there. It's a pretty big room right there, because that room is a lunchroom, so there can be space put in there for that. I think that's where they're going to do it. I'm not 100% sure yet, because we're actually going to pay somebody to design it. But when their design is completed, the board will get will do a presentation and show you.
Okay, the retractable closure is not going to be in there anyplace, and that's good, because sometimes they present you a lot of problems in the gymnasium. You said it's going to be folding wherever you need it, correct?
Okay, one of the restrooms, I'm sorry, restroom here. I'm pretty sure it might be this one.
Okay.
That's going to be a retractable one. The other is just, a folding
It's going to
one.
be folding.
It's different because it's bigger and heavier. And the other one's just over on this side, that's it. That'll just be a cloth one. That's just so you can separate the space if you went to, if you have different activity. And there'll be doors and entrances to both areas. Because you might have, you might have something, art class going on in one, and then something else going somewhere else. And also along the wall on this side it's going to be what Mary calls an art sink. We'll be running water, of course, obviously a sink, and cabinetry too, and counters. So you'll have rooms for, to put supplies on and things like that. So it's pretty well thought out in terms of what we're going to use it for and how she's going to use it.
Well, Jeannie Miller and I were talking today, and she said it's going to also be air conditioned. That is definitely a plus.
Absolutely.
I mean, even school system now are going to gymnasiums with air on. I was in one for 30 years, no air, but it's good now that the kids, if it's hot during the summer, they can come inside and it's air conditioned.
Yes.
And my last question is, what about the lineage on the floor? What kind of lines are going to be on there? Specific for a number of courts or activities, or it's just a general for the basketball league?
The initial proposal called for a maple wood floor like you find in the high school, but they're going to supply us with options. I'm not sure if it's a react type of flooring, but it's going to be a synthetic flooring, and they'll supply us with several options to choose from.
Okay.
But that because of the maintenance on a wooden floor for a multi-purpose room, it'll be a nightmare for us. We want a floor that can be used for a lot more than just sports, but for sports too, and yet not the floor be destroyed by people using it. So that's why we're going with a different floor, a synthetic floor that has long wear capabilities.
And there will be 2 exits with the gym on the back wall?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
I see them. I see them. I just wanted to be
back
sure.
there.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. I'm good.
Just, if your question was more to how will the floor be marked, I believe Mary had requested a high school basketball scenario on the floor, that size markings
And that's fine. The reason why I asked that, because sometimes you can have a gymnasium, you could have too many lines down there.
Right.
And I've seen instances where the lines are taken up. You have a line for tennis, you have a line for volleyball, you have a line for basketball. And sometimes it would get confusing, even though they would be different colored, but the less lines you have, the better.
Yeah, I think she said high school markings is what she wanted for a high school basketball court, and the architect suggested also volleyball
Okay.
markings.
And the color differences.
And-
Yeah, right.
And I know that as we, of course, you're looking for us to move forward with Wickersham tonight. And I think once we get into some of the comments that the color, the interior walls, the markings on the floor, the holes for the holes for the poles, for the volleyball nets, I think those things will all progress as we continue to go through. And I would say that, looking back, I mean, this has been a project that the mayor and commissioner has been working on for many years, and I think it'll serve its purpose. I think we've got a nice community center here that I think the residents of the town of Elkton will be proud of once we get it done. Let's break the ground. We have a motion to move forward with Wickersham.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll ask him after I make the motion.
Okay.
I'll ask Mr. Lemon in a second. All in favor? Aye. Mr. Lemon?
Couple of questions. Is this going to be laid out so that it can be expanded in the future?
We're using 18 or 19,000 square feet. And we've got still probably a full acre of land in the grass, would you say? Lou?
Mary wants to have a playground there.
But to answer your question, if we need to expand it, I think we have plenty of room to
The
expand
building
it.
is constructed so it can be expanded.
And that's a very good point. We might want to make sure that
And
that
then
is
the
a
other
valid
thing
point.
is parking. There's never enough parking, so hopefully it's set up so you can have parking.
There's quite a bit of parking for this. The expansion of the building will rely on creating more impervious surface. You may not be able to manage it. That would be your thing there. When the architect and the engineer went over there on Monday prior to our meeting, unfortunately about half of it was underwater because we had that saturating rain like we're going to have starting tomorrow, I think. So it was a real mess there. And because the water is retained there for quite a while, the issue is, do we have permeable soils that can manage that? So you just can't keep making impervious surface.
Well, I guess
So
just,
we're kind of limited on what we can do here in terms of the parking lot and the building.
well, I
You
would,
can't make it twice as big. You just-
no, I would say this comment that we'll let the next town board worry about that expansion.
I got another question.
Yes, sir, Ms.
Is the only way to get into this building through Stockton Street?
Yes.
Currently from Stockton, or
Only Stockton,
you can't get in from Goose Street?
not yet. We don't have an easement from them to go from their
In
parking
other
lot.
words, Stockton Street, I could envision a lot of traffic going down there, and that residents would probably not like that. And if you had another way to get in, like, going into the school board is no problem, that kind of thing, that might be helpful.
And I think that the town board's plan is to extend Collins Street, which is South Street extended. So if you get to the intersection and where the E-Town Barber Shop is on the corner,
I don't go there.
that's where I go. The E-Town Barber Shop, you make that left, and that's Collins Street, but our goal is to expand that, and it'll be a direct shot into the facility. And from a directional standpoint, it would be nice to tell people, you go down High Street, make a left on South Street or Berkeley Way, whatever it would be called, and you're right in.
That would be preferable.
It would be. Very good, thanks, Lou. Oh, no, go ahead. Greg?
Luke, could you explain again, why is the town's name, why is Elkton not being included? Did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, Gene, go ahead and explain it.
So, a portion of this project is being funded through Community Development Block Grant Funds, which is basically through HUD. The intent of the funding is to assist folks that are low mod income. We qualified for this grant for this particular project because this census tract, which is a pretty large census tract, it runs from, I think, the railroad tracks or beyond the railroad tracks down to Landing Lane, and then from the creek to a couple blocks over this way. But it's a pretty large census tract. The folks in that census tract fall into the category of low mod income. So we could build a neighborhood community center, but it couldn't be called Elkton Community Center because that connotes an area-wide benefit, and the town of Elkton as a whole is not 51% low mod income. So
We could call it downtown community
I
center.
told them we'd call it whatever they wanted to as long as they gave us some money. So.
Yeah, we could call it downtown community center, we could call anything but community
And it's for
center.
the neighborhood, there's a number of neighborhoods, we couldn't say this particular neighborhood, because there's a lot of neighborhoods, it goes from Hollingsworth Manor up to the Heights, to, there's a lot of neighborhoods, so we couldn't figure out, well, which neighborhood should we, well, we'll just call it neighborhood community
Okay.
center.
Very good, thank you. Lou, you're on.
Next item I have is the ordinance 13, 2018 that amends the chapter 2.28 of the police pension plan. This was introduced and accepted by the board on December 5th and is submitted to the board or presented to the board tonight for adoption. Essentially, the provisions that are being amended relate to the leave of absence. And to be specific, the leave of absence here that are being amended, the interpretation of how they're to be considered as years of service or fractional years of service is based on either prior officers that are serving, that served prior to July 1, 2010 versus the officers that were hired after July 1, 2010. The reason this came to light is because we have a number of officers that are approaching 25 years of service, and as long as they were compensated, the workers' comp or some form of town-sponsored program to keep their salaries during anything prior to 2010, that would be counted as acceptable leaves of service and then count towards their service time with the town. After 2010, July 1, 2010, it's different because then leave of absence are interpreted a different way. So if you're on a town workers' comp or some other non-military leave, and you get paid less, and that's not counted as years of service. So they have to make up that time. So I would recommend that the board accept this for adoption tonight.
I'd like to have a motion for the board to approve ordinance 13-2018.
So
So
moved.
moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the police pension plan? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all I have tonight.
Okay, very good. Real quickly, just a little bit of housekeeping. Our meeting in January, which is January 2nd, would be the first meeting of the year. Currently, we have nothing on the agenda. So having nothing on the agenda and coming after the first of the year, I'd say that it would probably be in our best interest to go ahead and just eliminate the first meeting of the year on January 2nd. We'll host our workshop on the 9th, and then we'll go right into the meeting on the 16th. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
And it's something that I guess we'll advertise it that we've just went ahead and postponed that meeting. Secondly, I'll represent the town tomorrow night for everyone. I'll go to the MML venue in Cecilton tomorrow night. If anyone would like to go along with me, I'll be the happy driver. I'm happy to go down. And then lastly, just wanted to remind everyone that Friday night is the first ever SantaCon in the town of Elkton. So if you want to come into downtown Elkton on Friday night, wear your red, dress up like Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, and just be in good spirits in the town of Elkton. I think it'll be an interesting night, Friday, if the weather permitting.
What time does that start?
I believe it, listen, there's never a bad time for SantaCon. Are you kidding me?
Well, it's actually starting at 12 noon.
Oh,
And there's going to be swag bags given away at the Elkton Alliance office. We'll have some volunteers in there that have, Bowers Law was nice enough to do the bags. And they'll have coupons for some of the businesses downtown. And so you could take advantage of the shops as well. And then later on, someone's having a birthday party that wants everybody to get involved with. But it should be a fun night. And for those of you that have ugly sweaters that you might like,
Looking at me now?
I do. You can wear that also.
Very good, thank you. Mary Jo, you're on now.
I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy, safe New Year, and enjoy the holidays with friends and family.
Wish everyone a happy holidays. Very good.
I wish everyone happy holidays as well, and I observed the Toys for Tots procession on Saturday, and it was really nice. People out there making the sirens, it awakened the town, because they just hearing this over and over and over again. Usually it's an ambulance or emergency vehicle that comes and goes, but this was continuous. Chief, I was at the Walmart the other night and brought up a good question. I know we talk about when there's a theft out there, your men have to report out there.
That's correct.
So I'm assuming with Christmas season and so many people shopping, every time there's a theft, should it be there, they have to go?
Yeah, if they call for us, we gotta go. In fact, there was a theft that occurred during the shop with the conference.
Oh my gosh.
We already had cops out there.
With all those police officers in the building,
Thank you, Rob, I'm good.
Gene, you're on.
did you arrest someone? Was someone arrested?
I believe they were, yes.
That's a shame.
No, I just want to thank everybody, all our department heads, employees, for a great year. It has been pleasurable, and I think we've accomplished a lot. So I hope we can duplicate that in the new year, and I hope everybody has a healthy and happy Christmas.
Very good. This is the time that we open up the floor for anyone to have anything to say. Mr. Rick Keene, state your, you can come in, sign in, or stand up, do whatever you'd like to do.
Just have a quick comment without signing it.
All right.
Make my comment. I was gonna send folks a lot of emails, but some things are better done in person. So I just want to stop in and I want to say thanks. I want to say thanks for all the time and effort and perseverance that went into purchasing the property in Hollingsworth Street and Elkton Boulevard. So I really appreciate that. I know that it takes a team to do that. So thanks to the folks in admin, thanks to the folks on the commissioners and the mayor. Thanks to the finance people, the legal people. Pat, I don't know if you had a role in that.
No, we have a role in this.
I know we talked to Gene a couple times. Gene's kept us up to date on planning and zoning meetings, but yeah, it was a 3-year project. Coming up this Christmas will be 3 years. So, and I know there's some complications with that project, but hopefully there were some lessons learned that for future projects like that or future problems like that, maybe things will go a little bit quicker. But again, I just want to say thanks. It's nice to drive into Elkton Heights and not see that eyesore of that house every day.
I think one thing, and I appreciate you saying that, I think one direction we could go, and John, you'd have to probably steer us in that way, but this situation was, it was bought at tax sale, there was so many things that was happening, but I think what we need to do is if we see a blighted parcel that's coming up, we should take the initiative to go down and bid on that parcel and get it so we can move forward. Then we hold the coupon. It won't take 3 years in, it would take 1 year, would you say? Maybe a little over a year. So we could cut the time in half by us being proactive and doing it, because what happens at these tax sales, give you an example, the house on High Street that we've been trying to get demoed was bought from a lady that lives in, what state is it?
No, somewhere out there.
And it's the craziest thing. They just buy them at tax sales and they think they're going to profit on them, and here they bought a...
She burned that property.
They did. But thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, that was a nice Christmas present. for the folks in Elkton.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have anything to say this evening? Seeing none, this meeting's adjourned.
Well, there's a conceptual timeline when the proposals were generated, but time has passed since then, so I don't think we're gonna shift.